أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Tonight, my dear brothers, we will study one of the first battles, one of the first ghazawat of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which took place in the blessed month of Ramadan. In fact, it took place on the 17th of Ramadan. We are now on the 10th of Ramadan, I believe. Yeah? About the 10th of Ramadan? 17th of Ramadan, so we do the battle 1 week early. Usually Muslims are always late for everything. Very bad at timekeeping. You know, they always turn up late for everything. Ghazwat al-Badr has been described as Badr al-Ula, Badr al-Uzma, Badr al-Furqan, been given many different titles, been known as the first battle. It was the first ghazwa that took place. Badr al-Uzma, the greatest battle that took place, as well as Badr al-Furqan, like the decisive battle. Now when we study a battle of Badr, when we study any of the seerah of Rasulullah, we want to gain a lesson for our particular reality. Our problem today is we study Ghazwat al-Badr, Uhud, Khandaq, and we just treat it like a story. We live in the past. Rather, we want to study the seerah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and gain lesson and apply it to our reality. Another mistake that we do is we treat the seerah like opium, like cocaine. Just completely buzzing off it. So it sounds very nice. Oh, mashallah, the Rasulullah, he was like this. The Sahaba, they were like this. Oh, they done this. They conquered villages and lands, and they shook empires just with their takbir. And it become like an opium. Whereas when we reflect upon our current reality, it's far different from the time of Rasulullah, or Abu Bakr, or Umar, or Uthman. Why? Because at that time, when Rasulullah passed away, who was the Khalif? Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. How many Khalifs were there? Only one at that time. When he passed away, who was next? Umar, then Uthman, then Imam Ali. So who is the Khalif today? Hosni Mubarak? This guy Zardai from Pakistan? We find, my dear brothers, we have over 56 or 53 different leaders, or 53 or 56 different nations, all proclaiming to be Islamic State, or living by the Sharia, or ruling by the system of Islam. Whereas when we look to the kuffar, you can see them all uniting together. They will only have one prime minister. I don't think even in this country you have something called a vice president. Only in America you have a vice president, and I think his name used to be Dick Cheney or something like that. I don't know why he got a name called Dick Cheney. You need to change that haram name as well, Dick Cheney, yeah? You know what I'm saying, yeah? But here you don't have vice president. You only have one prime minister. You talk about the EU now. They were trying to get together, have one currency. We need to have one EU. And even there's one English guy, he lives near me. He's got like a massive poster outside his house. It says no to the EU. He's hardcore, you know, English. He says, you know, it's this real English blood. You're not a real white man, you know, even if you've got a British passport. So that is our reality today, my dear brothers. We find the majority of the world, if not all of it, ruled by the kufr law. And in fact, Imam Abu Hanifa, he said one of the conditions, rahmahullah, he said one of the conditions for Dar al-Islam, or for an Islamic state to exist, is that the Khalifa, he should execute jihad at least once a year. You tell me Pakistan, they engage in jihad? Yeah? Of course not. They're training up the army to go and fight inside Afghanistan. What about any other country? Egypt, Morocco, Jordan, any other country that you can think of, Bangladesh, where is the army of jihad? Hardly you can see it. All just sitting there, polishing their weapons. On Kashmir, even worse, they said they have friendly fire with the mushrikeen. Just friendly fire. Friendly fire. You know, just friendly fire means I just give you one shot there, and you just miss the friendly fire. Boom, boom, boom. If you get him in between the legs, that's not called friendly fire. That's very unfriendly. If you shoot the man in between his legs, there's going to be no children for him afterwards. You see? Worse than that, you find people playing cricket. SubhanAllah. They say, you know, we're at war with each other, but for one day of the year, we have a ceasefire and we play cricket. A couple of bats, this and that. And then you find all of this asabiyah, all of this nationalism which takes place, and people fighting each other for the sake of it. So that's what we find. One of the things that Rasulullah, he did when he entered inside Yathrib, and Yathrib being known as Medina, is that he established a power base. That power base was known as the masjid. The masjid was like a power base. Why? Because the aqidah, the Islamic belief, my dear brothers, is something which needs to be implemented on a state level. You see? We have the asl of the deen, the foundations of the deen, the tawheed, the ta'ah exclusively to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have the bara'ah from the mushrikeen. And then from that we have different faru, different branches. We have the siyasa, which will bring out fruits, economic system, social system, ritual system, personal system, how to live, how to buy, how to sell, how to bury, how to do all of these things. All of these systems will emanate from that. When that being established within the first year after the migration to Medina, the jihad, it was legislated for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, let's look to the Battle of Badr and exactly how it took place. It just so happened at that time there was one man known as Abu Sufyan. And as you all know me by now, I always like to link it to our reality. Yeah? So I will never call Abu Sufyan just Abu Sufyan. We will change Abu Sufyan's name to something that you will choose tonight. So if you can think of a name, you can choose it for Abu Sufyan. Maybe you can't think of anything, no problem. I'll call him Barack Obama. Okay? Barack Obama, he had a caravan, Abu Sufyan. And he was coming from where? Syria. He was traveling from Syria to Mecca. Now, at that time, the Quraysh, they used to travel back and forth from Syria once a year to do some trade. He went there and he got, he was coming back with a caravan with a lot of money. He had about 50,000 dinars within there. Let's call it $50,000, just for argument's sake. Yeah? You think, 50,000 dinars, how many dinars is that? $50,000, that's a lot of money. He had 1,000 camels. Yeah? Okay, maybe none of you interested in camels. We can change the name of camels to BMW. Yeah? I don't know, what's the latest BMW or Merc? Huh? M3. Okay, M3 with the alloys and the subwoofer in the back. Yeah, all of that. 1,000 of them going with Abu Sufyan. And 70 fighters. So he's got 70 fighters with him. At that time, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he sent 2 of his companions on like a, excuse me, it's the rice, on a reconnaissance mission, like a spying mission. He said, go there and spy on Abu Sufyan. For what purpose? We're not spies. As Muslims, we don't just spy on people just for no reason, you see. And that's what hadith of Rasulullah said, as for the one who spies on a Muslim, or looks through the peeping hole, he's like looking inside your house, he said, poke his eye out. SubhanAllah. But why Rasulullah said these 2 men? Why? Because Rasulullah, his agenda was, we're going to raid the caravan of Abu Sufyan. So this is something which is a lesson in itself. That why is it that Rasulullah, he was going to rob this caravan? Why? Because it's based upon a qaida within Islam. Not al-qaida. A qaida meaning a principle, yeah? Just in case you get agitated, yeah? Qaida, a principle. Where Imam Shafi'i, rahmahullah, he said the life, the wealth and the property of the non-Muslim, it has absolutely no sanctity whatsoever, unless one of 2. Unless he has iman, meaning he become my brother, or aqd al-amana, meaning he has covenant of security, treaty. Those Quraysh, those mushrikeen outside who are traveling, like Abu Sufyan, no treaty with Rasulullah. So as far as he's concerned, we're going to raid the caravan. And not the first time that happened. Before that, remember in Mecca, 13 years of suffering that Rasulullah he went through. Yeah? There was no ayah that came down to fight. None of the Sahaba, in fact, they even asked Rasulullah, why can't we just stick it? Why can't we just stick a knife inside one of those bunch of kuffar? Yeah? Why can't we just... No, because no ayah come down. That's why I understand the Sahaba, they are people who are subservient to the command of Allah. When ayah come down, they act upon it. It just so happened at that time, I need my clock here to keep tell me what time it is so I don't go over, yeah? It just so happened at that time that Allah, He revealed the ayah in Surah Anfal verse 7. Allah, He informed Rasulullah about his reality which had changed. So you got the people which were going towards that caravan. Allah revealed the ayah that you're going to meet one of the 2 armies. You're going to meet one of the 2 armies, either the people of Abu Sufyan or the Quraysh. And in both of them, you're going to be victorious. Abu Sufyan, he only had 70 people with him. The Quraysh, on the other hand, they were going to be 1,000. But Allah, He gave the choice to Rasulullah. You make the choice. If you take the caravan, you're going to be victorious. If you go for the Quraysh, you're still going to be victorious. So let's just gain lessons just from the first incident. I want to try and gain lessons as we go along with the battle. The first incident that took place, that why Rasulullah, he went and raided the caravan. Because what, my dear brothers, we don't understand the personality and the character of Rasulullah. What exactly he come for? What exactly was his life about? Was it just about thobe, and a couple of dates, and nice biryani, and nice kebab, and just Allahu Akbar, or like some people say, Allahu, and banging their heads inside the mosque? Was that the life of Rasulullah? Or rather was it one of struggle, one of Isharuddin, one where he was like a statesman, like a military person, over 29 battles that Rasulullah he fought in. How we forget this as a seerah? People, they talk about the seerah. Rasulullah was so nice, he was smiling at everybody in the marketplace. Suit and tie, and Samsonite, and Sony Vaio on the other hand, and a netbook, and a laptop, and all this Nokia MP3. No. That was not Rasulullah. Yes, Rasulullah, he was a man of da'wah. He was a man who come to perfect the character of the people. But he was also somebody military man of war as well. And that's why you can see, even from his own admission himself, he said, Urmitu an qatil an-nas. He said, I've been ordered to fight the people. For what? Until what? Until they testify La ilaha illallah. I've been ordered, I have not been sent except to fight the people until they testify La ilaha illallah. And in another hadith he said, I've been given 5 things which no other Nabi has been given before. One of them being the whole ard being made as a masajid for me, as a place of prayer, except those places which are like where the people are buried and those places of dirt and filth. And one of them being the ganima, the booty has been made halal for me. And more than that, he said, and I have been made victorious by 1 month's marching distance. By how? By striking terror in the hearts of the enemy. That's the description of Rasulullah. Not something we attribute to the sifa of Rasulullah. No, this is Rasulullah, how he described himself. And more than that, he described himself by particular names. Remember, whenever we talk about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, about his asma sifat, we always make tathbid. We make ithbat in the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We affirm the names of Allah without to ask how. Yeah? Likewise with his attributes as well. So Allah, he has hand. How? We don't know. Bila kayf. The one who asks how does Allah have a hand? Yeah? This man mubtadi. Or the one who makes ta'wil. Or he starts to make interpretation on it. Or start to say, it could mean like this. He's mafawwada. Like there's some people mafawwada. They make tafweed in the names of Allah. So it could be like this. It could be like that. It could be like that. Some people mu'tazila, rationalists, they say, well, leave it open to interpretation. As you wish. Not like that. So with Rasulullah, the same thing as well. When we talk about Rasulullah, how he described himself, we affirm that. And Rasulullah, he mentioned about describing himself with 5 names. He said, I have 5 names. He said, in the dunya, I am Ana Muhammad. In the dunya. And in the Jannah, my name is Ana Ahmed. He's describing himself, Rasulullah. And he said, and I am Al-Mahi. You know what is Al-Mahi? Al-Mahi, the one who come to eradicate all kufr. Like the one who come to terminate all kufr. Yeah? Just remove it from the face of the earth. And more than that, he said, Ana Nabi, Ana Malhama. I am the prophet of massacres. SubhanAllah. You try and tell that now to some of these people who are sitting inside Downing Street having a pork sandwich for iftar now, yeah? With Mr. Gordon Brown. He's not here today anyway. They said Gordon Brown is on a surprise visit. Where? In Afghanistan. Why a surprise visit? Why not? If the people in Afghanistan, they said the people in Afghanistan, they love the British and Americans, they're welcoming democracy. Then why do you need to go on a surprise visit? Why can't he just, tell you I'm coming on a Friday at Jummah? Why? Because there'll be probably 1 million people there with a gun willing to shoot this guy, you see. Most wanted man in the world, Gordon Brown. So, Abu Sufyan at that time, he heard about this. Keep an eye on the time. Abu Sufyan, he heard at that time, he got some intelligence at that time that, look, this is what's going to happen, they're going to raid the caravan. So he sent 1 man to Mecca. This man, you can call him foreign secretary for Abu Sufyan. And who do we say Abu Sufyan was? Barack Obama, like that. You go say Barack Obama, like a dog, yeah? Barack Obama, like that, like a chicken, yeah? Barack Obama. So he sent his foreign secretary, who we can call Dick Cheney or Condoleezza Rice. You remember that? Like that, yeah? With the big teeth, Condoleezza Rice, yeah? Dick Cheney, you can call her that, yeah? It's a man anyway, yeah? So, he sent the spy to Mecca. This man, when he went to Mecca, what he done was he tore his own clothing. He ripped it up. And he got his camel, and he cut the nose, and he cut the ears as well. And he said, look what these Muslims they've done to me. He's lying now, foreign secretary. Look what these Muslims they've done to me. Bunch of terrorists. Like Israel today. And like India today as well. When September the 11th happened, I remember within about a week or 2 weeks, the Indians, they blew up their own embassy. Because we're not trusting a bunch of Bollywood. Yeah, bunch of Bollywood and Hollywood. I said, we got a problem with terrorists as well. Israel, they said, yeah. So one of our Israeli soldiers, his big toe got blown off. Yeah, we got a problem with terrorism as well. See, everybody starts jumping on the bandwagon. You see, now even China, who's about China? China, man selling DVDs outside, yeah? China jumping on the bandwagon as well. We got a problem with terrorism as well. We need to wipe out those Muslims as well. Everywhere you find it, you see? All kuffar madeh, but as a mushrikeen, awliya of one another. When it comes to fighting the Muslims, all of them just stand together. You see? Last week, they had a football match. West Ham and Millwall. Bottles flying everywhere. They don't even know who they're fighting. He's got a blue shirt on. Let me just whack him as well. He's got a red shirt. Let me just whack him as well. Whack myself as well. People are completely crazy. And then they all come together and say, no, we need to go to the mosque. Yeah, and we need to stamp out the Sharia court. So that's the same thing that happens today, my dear brothers. This war propaganda that the kuffar they do. At that time, the Sahaba they captured two children at that time. 2 children at that time, and they said, look, who do you belong to? And they said, look. No comment. Yeah? They said, we just come for water. But the Sahaba, they never believed them. So the Sahaba, they started to beat them, like some interrogation that's going on here. They said, look, we're from Quraysh. Rasulullah came along and started to interrogate them as well. He said, look, you're from Quraysh. Yeah, okay. So how many fighters has the Quraysh they got? They said, look, we don't know. All we know, we just been sent to get the water. Yeah? But obviously a bunch of liars. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? If somebody kept, well, for the camera, we don't do that. But if somebody captured maybe the foreign secretary of America or whoever, yeah, and you interrogate, he said, oh, I don't even know what Barack Obama, I don't know what color Barack Obama is. You're a liar. Of course you know what he is, what color he is. You're probably in bed with him as well, you see. He said, so Rasulullah said, look, how many camels have you got? Because Rasulullah, look, we don't want to call Rasulullah shrewd, but he's a military man, he's a man of expertise, you see. He's wise, he's got some intelligence, he's not stupid. Rasulullah said, how many camels you got? They said, we got 9 to 10 camels. So Rasulullah, he calculated that. He said 9 to 10 camels, that will feed 100 people. So on average, there must be 1,000 mushrikeen. Later on, that was confirmed when they were captured. Then he asked, so who's come from the Quraysh? Who's come from the Americans and the United Nations? He said, everybody. Mr. Bush is here. Mr. Blair, he's outside as well. Barack Obama as well. And Rasulullah said, that is the whole of Mecca. Meaning, this is Mecca that's come. And more than that, Rasulullah said, and the Quraysh, they have sent the liver of Mecca. You know what the liver is? The shabab. Just like today, the average age of the American troops inside Iraq, Afghanistan is what? Age between 21 to 29. You see? So shabab, they have an important role to play within the Sharia as well, and within Dar al-Kufr as well, for the kuffar. They're very concerned about what your role is as a Muslim youth. Because you're the one who can either bring revival to the deen, or you're somebody who can bring destruction to the deen. That's why I remember I met somebody from Syria once, and he used to go pray Salat al-Fajr in the masjid. And the police used to arrest him. Arrest him at Salat al-Fajr. He's only 8 years old. Why did they arrest 8-year-old boy? You know why? They worried that if the boy can wake up for Salat al-Fajr and go pray in the masjid, which many people don't. Everyone is just snoring at time of Fajr. Usually you can catch people out. You say, what time was Fajr? 9:30. 9:30. Is it at 9:30? Who told you Salat al-Fajr is at 9:30? Okay, 10 o'clock. It starts to guess. The man doesn't pray Fajr. You need to pray Fajr. So they arrested this young boy. And they used to ask him, what are you doing? Because they're worried. If the man can wake up 4:30 in the morning and go for Salat al-Fajr, what about when he's 19 years old? That man will overthrow the regime. You see? So the youth have an important role to play. So Rasulullah at that time, after the interrogation, he started to get all of the ashab together. And at that time, Rasulullah, the night before, they got together and Rasulullah started to make the dua. The Sahaba at that time, one Sahabi, he said, I fell asleep. And when I woke up, I saw Rasulullah, he was still making the dua. And at that time, Rasulullah, the dua that he made, he said, Ya Allah, if you do not give these people, my companions, the victory, the nasr, then there's going to be no tawheed upon the earth. You see? So that's an important lesson that we can learn, that Rasulullah, he completed his mission via the help of the Sahaba. And the Sahaba without Rasulullah are nothing for us. But the companions, they have a particular fada'il and a particular role to play. So at that time, Allah, He caused the Sahaba to have this rijis, to have this sleeping. They fell asleep. Yeah. And usually, when you go to a fight, or when you're when you got a big something important coming up the next day, you're going to be worried. You're not gonna sleep, are you? You're going to be like, oh my God, I've got a court case tomorrow. What are they going to say? Guilty or not guilty? It's a matter of 23 years. I'm going to get done for terrorism. You're not going to sleep, you're going to be up all night, isn't it? Or you're going to meet the bully in school, or the toughest boy in the school. You're going to have a fight with him tomorrow. You're going to be in training in the gym. You're not going to be just sleeping like that. But Allah, He caused the Sahaba to sleep. So the waswas of the shaitan could not come to them. Now, another narration of Abu Bakr, it said that Abu Bakr, he said, I took the hand of Rasulullah. And I said to Rasulullah, he said, Ya Rasulullah, stop it now. Stop the dua now. Allah, He will answer your dua. And the other Sahaba, they said, when he was raising his hands, we could see the whites of his armpits. Which is lesson for us today. A lesson for us today. The hadith of Rasulullah, it said, Ad-dua huwa al-ibadah. The dua is ibadah. Where is the dua today? Allahumma aizu wa-salamu al-muslimin. And Auntie Khadija, she broke her wrist, and she can't make any curry. Make dua for her at the Jummah. Yeah? Uncle Tariq, yeah, he's got a punctured tire, and he can't do his cab driving tonight. Make dua for him. MashaAllah, that becomes the dua. We got occupied land, we got Palestine, Iraq, Afghanistan, and the moment you hear those names, like Iraq, Palestine, Shishan, Indonesia, what comes to your mind? Not bed of roses, not dates and not some kebab, of course not. Occupation, murder, killing. Where's the dua today? So short. Even on okay, forget the Jummah now. Maybe we don't want to attack the Imam for Jummah. What about our own selves? For the sake of dunya, my dear brothers, we make dua to the heavens. Ya Allah, give me a new pair of tires for my car. SubhanAllah. For dunya matter, you make dua. But for the ummah, you don't make no dua. SubhanAllah. And our hadith, it said that the Muslim ummah is like one body. If one part of it feels pain, then the rest of it feels pain. Is that you? Is that you? Because you know when you got the flu, trust me, the rest of your body goes. You know when you got the porky flu? I call it the porky flu, the swine flu. If you got pork flu or pigeon flu, chicken flu, I don't know what you call it, different types of flu, of course the whole of your body will start to ache, isn't it? You start to make dua. So for the sake of the ummah, my dear brothers, you need to make dua. At that time, Rasulullah, he said, Abshiru ya Abu Bakr, Abshiru ya Abu Bakr. He said, Ya Abu Bakr, Jibreel alayhi salam just came and left, and Jibreel had dust on him. Jibreel alayhi salam informed me that we will win inside this battle. You see? So Rasulullah already been informed about the Nasr by Jibreel alayhi salam. Let's look to some of the facts of Badr, in terms of some facts with regards to the battle, what took place. There was about 300 ashab with Rasulullah who faced an army of over 1,000. You know how many that is? That's about 3 to 1. You know that? If me and, what was your name? Right at the back. Huh? Farid. Okay. If me and the brother Farid outside, yeah, and we got 2 people come up to us, want to fight. I said, all right, you take him, I take him. Imagine if there's 10 of them. I say to him, you run that way, and I'll go that way. We'll leave it for another day. 3 to 1 here. SubhanAllah, 1,000 coming to fight over 300. And you know what the Quraysh, they had over 700 camels. Over 700 camels, 700 F-16 jets. They had 70 horses. You're talking a big superpower, military, you know, in terms of their strength. They were very strong. And you know how, what the military arsenal of, not Arsenal, the football club there, the military capability of Rasulullah was? They had 1 horse. 1 horse, some people say 1 horse and 1 camel of Al-Miqdad. So, same lesson today, my dear brothers, that we gain, that it's always going to be the majority versus the minority. And Rasulullah said it was always going to be the minority that are going to be upon the haqq until Yawm al-Qiyamah. You see? And that's why another riwayah said, a time will come when 1/3 of my ummah, they will apostate. 1/3 of my ummah, they will die as shaheed. And that other 1/3 of my ummah, they will stay alive and they will be victorious, and they are known as the Ta'ifa al-Mansura, the victorious party, and they will struggle and fight for the sake of Allah. Rasulullah at that time, he asked Al-Miqdad, he said, what do you think? What do you think we should do? Al-Miqdad, he was from the Ansar, I believe, and there was Sa'd ibn Muaz there as well, and he asked those 2 companions, what do you think we should do? He's consulting them now. Al-Miqdad, he said, Ya Rasulullah, we believe in you. We follow you. Ya Rasulullah, if you were to go in the middle of the ocean, there will not be a single one of us that will turn our backs. You see the Sahaba? Complete subservience to the Sharia. Complete subservience to the command of Allah. When the ayah come down, كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمْ الصِّيَامِ, they observe that. When the ayah come down, كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمْ الْقِتَالِ, they observe that and they respond to that. Bilal, he was asked as well, what should be the theme of Badr, and I mentioned that last week, and he said, Ahadun Ahad, Ahadun Ahad. Amongst those people who went forward, everybody. Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Imam Ali, Hamza, you all know them, you all heard of them. Waraka, she was one from the Sahabiyat. She also insisted, she said, I want to go and fight as well in Badr, which is a lesson for us today. People say the women just need to be tied to the kitchen sink. I don't know anybody who actually literally ties his wife to the kitchen sink. If you do, untie her, man. How's she going to bring the food inside the kitchen, in the living room for you? You're going to tie her to the kitchen sink. You see? So a woman has a role to play. The woman is not just your wife, but she's the mother. You see? And the mother will bring up a generation of children, you see? That's why the mother is so important. And that's why Rasulullah mentioned about the mother. He mentioned about who do you love, who you should love the most. And who did he mention 3 times? The mother, the mother, the mother, and then the father. So the mother and the Muslimah, she has an important role to play within Islam. The youth, they played an active role as well. There was 2 from amongst the Shabab. They were the sons of Afra. They were known as Muaz and Maaz. They were 14, 15 years old. And they were begging. They were begging Rasulullah. They said, Ya Rasulullah, let us go. We want to go out for the sake of Allah. Is that what happens today? 14, 15-year-old, he's begging his dad, please, I want a PlayStation 3. Yeah, I want a PlayStation 4 or 5, whatever. But I want that game, £40 game. MashaAllah. For the sake, 14, 15-year-old is playing games. And this is one of the fruits of Western civilization today. The man is 40 years old, he's still playing Nintendo Wii. Man never grows up in this type of country. All the time, computer games, all this and that. And when he's 60, 70 years old, he's still, thinking, oh, what shall I do? Well, maybe I can become a lap dancer, a pole dancer. What can I do? SubhanAllah. He's not thinking about Aqidah. He's not thinking about deen. He's not understanding the shabab is amana for you. The youth is an amana for you. You want to invest it for the sake of Allah, not to waste it. More than that, there was the brother of Sa'd ibn Ubadah. Sa'd, he was a general at that time. His younger brother was 10 years old. 10 years old. And he was begging. And he was crying as well. He was not just begging, he was crying to Rasulullah. Ya Rasulullah, please let me go to Ghazwat al-Badr. And in fact, he hid himself inside his house. He was hiding underneath the table. Maybe Rasulullah, he won't see me. And he started, making his own sword out of wood. He had like a wooden sword. He was carving it up. And his brother, he had to tie like a rope around his waist so he could keep the sword in, otherwise it's going to fall out. You see? Then there was another shabab, his name was Umair, 16 years old. The Munafiqeen, they appeared at that time. The Munafiqeen, they started to say, you never told us that we were going to go and fight. So, oh my God, we've got to go and fight now. We thought we were just going to go to Abu Sufyan and get the money. You see? So Munafiqeen, always they're going to appear. The battle, it started, and the foreign insurgents, they arrived, the Quraysh, and it was about 300 to 1,000. And at that time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He revealed the ayah in Surah Anfal, and this is some of the mu'jizat, some of the miracles of the battle. Allah, He said, do you remember when you made the dua and we sent the angels, murdifin, one after another, like in succession, one after another? Abdullah ibn Abbas, he said, when the two armies, when they met each other, you got the Quraysh 1,000, and you got 300 here. Now how do you think the Quraysh are going to be thinking? The Quraysh are like, we got those 300, they finished already. You know what I mean? Just chuck one brick and they'll all go running. No. At that time, Abdullah ibn Abbas, he said, the two malaika, they came. Jibreel alayhi salam and Israfil. And they had 500 angels on each side. So how many is that? 500 plus 500 is 1,000. Plus 300. How many is that? 1,300. 1,300. The Jundullah. You see, so we can never be alone on our own. People that say, look, how are we going to win inside Palestine? How are we going to win inside Afghanistan, Iraq? Oh, they're here, there's 60,000 of them. 60,000 coalition troops. How are Muslims ever going to defeat them? But you forget the help of Allah. You forget the Jundullah, the Malaika. You think Allah not going to help you? Of course Allah going to help you. At that time, one Sahabi, he said, I was chasing a mushrik. I was chasing one mushrik. And behind me I could hear the sound of a whip. Like a sound of a whip. He said, when I found this mushrik, I found him with his face was completely green. His face had become completely green, and he had a whip mark on his face. And he said to Rasulullah, he said, Ya Rasulullah, I didn't touch him. I only had a sword. You know what Rasulullah said? Indeed, you speak the truth. That was the malaika. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He revealed the ayah. Allah, He said to the angels, I will strike terror in the hearts of the kuffar, so strike their necks, their toes, and their fingers. Ibn Jabir, he said about this ayah, he said Allah had ordered the malaika to strike the necks, the toes, and the fingertips of the kuffar. So the mu'jizat never went away. Nowadays we also hear about different mu'jizat, the miracles within the battlefield. I remember watching a video about Bosnia once. They said there was like a tank with two mujahids in there, two mujahideen. And they said they captured one Serb. And afterwards they said to him that, look, when we were in the tank, there was only two of us. We came out saying the takbir, and there was like about 20 of you. Why did you run away? There was only two of us. Why didn't you arrest us? Why did you run away? You know what this Ghaffar, he said? He said, when you came out of the tank, we saw white creatures, like white creatures coming out of the tanks with you. SubhanAllah. That's the mu'jizat. In Fallujah, in 2004, when the Americans went in there, they said they were bombing it left, right, and center. There was reports of white horses inside Fallujah. And they said, that place ain't got no white horse running around. Probably got a Datsun there, or Toyota, Corolla. Well, you know what I'm saying, And it's probably got a bomb in it as well. You know what I mean? There's so many car bombs over there, It's unbelievable. I want to go there. It's not safe. Get in a cab. You must be joking. I'll walk it. You can't even walk it. There's a bomb on the floor as well. There's 30 bombs inside Iraq. What can he say? They said there was white horses there. Other people from those, we can't even use the word mujahideen, otherwise they arrest us. They said, you're inciting terrorism. So we just say Muslim. Some Muslims from Fallujah, they said, whilst they were going in between the different houses and trying to, dodge the bombs, they went inside one house and they found a big melon. And the melon was about that big. And they said, there's no melon. There's no melons in that grow within that area. And they said, all of them, they was they all ate from that melon until, and they were full. SubhanAllah. So mu'jizat, the help of Allah is always going to come. So at that time, there was many mu'jizat, many miracles within the battle. One of them being Rasulullah, he took the dust. He took the dust and he threw it. And you know what happened with the dust? It hit the eyes of all of the kuffar. Not a single kafir was standing around just like that. All of them, they were like rubbing their eyes like that. And Allah, He said, and remember, when you threw or when you killed, it was not you that killed or you that threw the dust. It was me. You see? So never underestimate the help of Allah. Umar al-Faruq at that time, he killed his uncle, who was Hisham ibn al-Mughira. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, he dealt with his son, Abdul Rahman, and Mus'ab ibn Umair. There's a story about him, about when the captives of war were taken. His brother was taken as a captive. At that time, his brother said, look, call my brother Mus'ab. We're from rich family, yeah? Mus'ab, he will help me out. Mus'ab said, tie him up. Make sure you got a firm grip on his hands, yeah? Orange jumpsuit, earmuffs, all of this type of business. Link it to our reality, yeah? Make sure you tie him up. And he said, yeah, but you're my brother. He goes, you're not my brother, you're a kafir. Dirty kafir. Like that, yeah? They got that song, innit? Dirty kuffar. I don't know if you heard that hip-hop song, yeah? Dirty kuffar, that one, yeah? He said, no, you're not my brother. He said, he's my brother. He's my brother. And he pointed towards a muwahid. So you see the ashab, they understand issue of wala and bara more than Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah. He was in the battlefield. He said, I saw my father a couple of times. You know, he's busy fighting somebody else. Yeah? And then it hit me. He said, what am I, munafiq or what? And he said, oi, kafir, come here. To his own father. Abu Ubaidah, he said that to his own father. He said, oi, kafir, come here. And he killed his own father. That was Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah. You see? The love that they had, my dear brothers, they understood one of the principles of Asul al-Deen, of the foundations of the Deen, which is to have this bara' min al-shirk wa ahle. To have this complete bara', not just from the shirk, not just from the bid'ah and from the kufr, but from those people who carry the kufr and the shirk. Which is a lesson for us today. The problem which we have today, we say, we hate the shirk. We hate the idol, but we love the idol worshipper. How does that work out? That don't make no sense. You know what I'm saying? We hate the monkey, yeah, or the statue of the monkey, but the one who bows down to him, I love him. I'll marry him, I'll take him for kebab, and maybe I'll even do hajj with him as well. This is complete nonsense, complete rubbish. You see? And this is what we need today, need today, my dear brothers. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said in the Quran, as a description of Rasulullah, Allah, He said in the ayah, Muhammadur Rasulullah, waladina mahu, ashidda ala kufar, ruhama bainahum. That Muhammadur Rasulullah, and those with him, they are merciful, they have this rahmah with the believers, and they have this shadid, they are harsh towards the kuffar. Is that what we have today? Yeah? So much love we have towards Mr. Kafir. Oh, hello Mr. Kafir, how you doing? You want a cup of tea? You want some samosa? Come inside the masjid, you can have iftar with me as well. SubhanAllah. They said a couple of years ago, they had the police coming inside Whitechapel Mosque. The police coming inside Whitechapel Mosque, and they're having iftar with them. MashaAllah. And hadith of Rasulullah said, with the food of the iftar, you know, the food that you open your fast with, not allowed to share it with a mushrik. You see? So, this is what we find today. We don't understand the wala and the bara. Today, my dear brothers, we find ourselves allying with the kuffar, having this muwalat and this tawalli with the kuffar, whether by the tongue or by the gun. Recently, there was a brother here last week, he was telling me about Sudais. You know Sudais? He went to Pakistan and he was leading the prayers for the Pakistani army. Pakistani army, yeah, upon kufr, hadith of Rasulullah said, the one who takes a metal object, yeah, like a sharp object, and points it at his brother as a joke, he said, the curse of Allah is upon this person. What about the one who takes a gun, and he makes not just any old mu'alat, but he makes full tawalli. He allies with the kuffar, which is kufr akbar. To ally with the kuffar with a gun, and says, in the name of America, I'll go and shoot this person. What can we say? What can we say about this type of person? You see? Other people, there was an imam, he was doing demonstration inside Pakistan. Yeah? And he was saying, we should hurry up and wipe out those people inside Swat Valley. Hurry up and finish them off. Who needs an imam like that? Who needs somebody like Barack Obama, George Bush, Tony Blair, Gordon Brown in power? When you got imam like this, he's out there making dua. Oh Allah, kill the Muslims. SubhanAllah. How did everything become upside down? Tawheed is recognized as shirk, and the shirk become known as the Tawheed. The haqq and the batil become completely upside down. So, more than that, then you find over here people that say, oh, we need to give bay'ah to the queen. Yeah, we need to give bay'ah to the queen, we need to kiss her backside, rub her legs, rub her feet, I don't know what else you want to rub, you need to look after the queen. All of this type of nonsense. Complete rubbish. When the kuffar, when they came to, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, when they came to Rasulullah, and they started to say to Rasulullah, they said, look, you know your companions, they're going to betray you. They're going to betray you. You know Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, he said at that time. You're going to be shocked when you hear this. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, he said at that time, he said, go F the private part of Lat and Uzza. My God. What kind of Sahaba are they? You see? They're not people who just, you slap them in the face and they turn the other cheek. No, you slap me, I'll take your head off. That was the Sahaba. When the people, they were insulting Rasulullah and just speaking bad about him. Hearing Rasulullah is troublemaker. You know what Rasulullah he said? He said it's been reported, I don't have the reference here, but he said, where is it now? لَقَدْ جِتْكُمْ بِالدَّبِهِ. He said, O Quraysh, I have come to slaughter you. Or I have come to massacre you. What kind of Nabi is that? He said, I come to slaughter you, O Quraysh. So that's the Rasulullah in terms of the wala and bara. At that time, the Nabi, he turned to Sa'd ibn Muaz. Sa'd ibn Muaz, and after the people were held as captives. And he said, what do you think we should do with the captives? Yeah? Imagine now our worst enemies, your worst enemy, the one who, I don't know, he broke your Nintendo Wii chuck. They got that little, he broke your controller. What are you going to do with him? I'll break his leg, man. He broke my chuck. You know what I mean, yeah? I don't know, was it a chuck? Controller? Controller, yeah? He broke my controller. What are you going to do? You're going to break the man's legs. He said to Sa'd ibn Muaz, he said, what do you think we should do? He said, kill them all. Just kill them all. Finish them all off. Yeah, no need for them. You see? But Rasulullah, he kept them anyway, because they were used afterwards. At that time, my dear brothers, the kuffar, they were completely defeated. 24 leaders of the Quraysh, they were killed, except one man. He was the president of the United Snakes of America at that time. His name was Abu Jahl. Don't know what to call him now, otherwise you get done for solicitation to murder, which is a 7-year sentence, and I don't have the time for that. Not just yet anyway, yeah? Abu Jahl, he was left. I remember we mentioned the two sons of Afra, Muaz and Muaz, the two 14 and a 15-year-old. They were on the front line originally in the Battle of Badr. And they were standing next to Abdurrahman ibn Auf. Abdurrahman ibn Auf, he said about these two, he said, when I saw them, I thought, oh my God, if something bad happens to me, or if I get myself in a tricky situation, how am I going to defend myself? Yeah, how are these two going to look after me? You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, how old are you, Muhammad? 19. So, let's say Muhammad's in a battlefield, he's on the front line, and next to him is a 7-year-old. How do you think he's going to feel? 19 and 7. He's 70. What's that 7-year-old going to do? Go home on your tricycle, man. You know what I mean? This is for real men. You come here to fight. He said to them, he said, what are you doing here? What are you two boys doing here? You know what they said? They said, we heard about one man called Abu Jahl. We never seen him before. But we heard he insulted Rasulullah. We're here to look for him today. We're here to look for him today. Abdurrahman ibn Auf, he said, when I was in the battlefield, I could see the zeal within their eyes. And they kept asking him. He said, Uncle Abdurrahman, is that him? Is that Abu Jahl over there? He said, no, that's not him. Is that him over there? No, that's not over him. Where is he? Good. That's him over there. He said, alright, come on then. Get your sword ready. Yeah, we're going over there. Kafir, come here. Bam, bam. Stick it inside him. He's on the floor. So they dealt with him. And you know what they done? Both of them, they came back and they said, Ya Rasulullah, we killed the enemy of Allah. And they both raised their swords up. So Rasulullah said, well, there's two of you here, 2 swords. Yeah? Which one have you done it? Me, I done it. He goes, no, me, I done it. Yeah. Rasulullah said, don't worry, you both get the reward. Afterwards, there's a report that one of the Sahabi, either it was Abdullah ibn Masud, huh? It was Abdullah ibn Abbas. Yeah, Abdullah ibn Abbas, he went there and he found him, he was still breathing. Abu Jahl, he's like a pig, innit? I don't know, I can't do a pig man. I don't even know if it's allowed to, do an impression of a pig, yeah? Abu Jahl, he's like that, yeah? He's still breathing. So he took his head off. He took his head off, and he brought it back to Rasulullah. He said, there's a gift for you. You see? SubhanAllah. That's the Sahaba. So the Shabab, my dear brothers, you can learn that they play an important role. And that's why Rasulullah said the youth, they are the spark of the fire. They will either burn the way, or they will pave the way. And there's many lessons, my dear brothers, that we can gain from Battle of Badr. One of them being the fact that the Sahaba at that time, they were a minority. Yet they came out and they defeated a complete superpower. Number 2, that we should never feel down as believers. The ayah said, وَلَا تَحِنُوا وَتَحْسَنُوا وَأَنْتُمْ عَلَوْنَ إِن كُنْتُمْ مُؤْمِنِينَ. Allah said, do not feel down. Not allowed for us to feel depressed. Oh my God, what are we going to do? They got us now, finished, got put it all down. We have too much of this, this defeatism amongst ourselves. You know what I mean? Other people, they start to do this, it's like bullying. Some imams, they're like bullies. You know that? I've seen this many times before. You ask him, Sheikh, what do you think about Iraq? Iraq, it's our fault, our fault. Because he didn't wake up for Fajr. Oh, I see. Okay, so let me get this straight, yeah? I didn't wake up for Fajr, therefore Allah decided to get all the sisters and the brothers and put them inside Abu Ghuraib. How does that make sense? How does that make sense? You ask him, okay, so what can we do about Iraq? What can we do about Afghanistan? Can we make dua for them? He said, it's fitna, we can't make dua for them, we can't do nothing, just Allah Ghafur Rahim, just be busy with the masjid. Yeah, be worried about the masjid. Yeah? Okay, but we need to raise the money for the asir in the prisons inside Guantanamo Bay. Maybe we can use that money as ransom. Oh, we're going to lose our masjid. But what about Masjid al-Aqsa? You telling me we ain't lost that? You telling me that's not under occupation? That's not under attack? He's worried about his masjid somewhere in East London, yeah? Which is getting the money from the government as well, and the imam's on £23,000 salary a year. Not bad, £23,000 a year. Of course the man's going to be there every morning for Fajr. Is he? He's going to be there. And there's even one mosque, I know one brother was telling me, the imam at Salatul Jummah, there's no Jummah khutbah today. Everyone's like, what do you mean no Jummah khutbah? What happened? Is it Judgment Day or something? Yeah? Why not? Yawm al-Qiyamah come or something. Why not? No Jummah khutbah today. He goes, no, they didn't put the money in my bank account. SubhanAllah. Act of ibadah, which you're supposed to do for Allah alone, you start to do it for money. So no money, no khutbah. No money, no Jum'ah. This is complete nonsense, my dear brothers. People selling their deen, my dear brothers, for 20 pence, 30 pence. More than that, my dear brothers, so the third lesson we can gain is this issue of the sabr and the tawakkul that we need today. The sabr and the tawakkul that we need today in order for us to be victorious against our enemies today. You know that at the time of Dawood alayhi salam, there was an army of about 2,000, and they were going to fight the army of Talut. Now, the people of Dawood alayhi salam, they were the remaining people from Musa alayhi salam. 2,000. Yeah, okay. You know what they done? They made dua to Allah. And this is in the Quran, I can't remember the surah, but they made dua to Allah, and they asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they said, oh Allah, make our feet firm, yeah? Make our feet firm and give us the victory. So they had, Ali Imran, yeah, that's right, yeah. So they had the sabr, and they had the tawakkul. And you know how many they defeated? They defeated an army of over 1 million. That was Dawood alayhi salam, yeah? Yeah, inshallah, yeah? More than that, my dear brothers, we can understand that today, as far as the victory is concerned, the ummah is victorious today. As far as ideology of Islam is concerned, today it becomes victorious. There is something called An-Nasr Rabbani, the divine victory. And then there's the man-made victory. When the kuffar, they want to have victory over us, they just come and occupy our land. But you know how we can become victorious? Not just by liberating Al-Quds, liberating Afghanistan and Iraq, is also when the Islamic idea of La ilaha illallah, it becomes embedded within the hearts of the believers. When that starts to cause like a revival amongst the ummah, we become victorious. More than that, we understand that this ideological struggle, it will continue until Yawm al-Qiyamah, and regardless of that, my dear brothers, regardless of whether we're killed or whether we're alive, you can see the ideology of Islam today is breaking the backs of the kuffar. And that's why they're talking about, oh, we need another 40 years inside Afghanistan. Why? Because despite all of the money and all of the satellites and all of the Western propaganda which they try to infiltrate and try to pump inside Iraq, Afghanistan, you can find people coming back more to the deen. People are more practicing than ever. You can see that. Within Iraq, 10 years ago, you went there, the man is probably, he doesn't pray. Now, because of all of the oppression, all of the suffering, people just start to wake up and they start to ask themselves, what's my identity? Am I Muhammad or am I Mo? Am I Muslim? Who do I have mu'alat with? Who do I have mu'adat from? Who do I ally with? Who do I stand with? What do I understand the hadith of Rasulullah where he said, Al-Muslimun ummatun wahida min duri nas, that the Muslim ummah is they one ummah, and their ard is one land, and their war is one. Do they understand that? Indeed, my dear brothers, the ummah is waking up. So either which way, my dear brothers, the Badr is alive today. The ideological sense from the ideological struggle is very much alive today, and all of us, my dear brothers, we have an important role to play by struggling for Islam, by calling for Islam, and by propagating the authentic understanding of Islam as understood by the Sahaba ajma'in. Wa sallallahu sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in.